Do you want to learn the latest way of making a frontal? Well, let me show you. Hi loves, so this is a 13 by 7 regular jeans lace, as it is popularly called. So I'm going to draft it. I'm going to draft the whole lace on a paper. The essence of this is so that I will be able to make the sketch, every sketch I want to make on the paper rather than on the lace itself. Gone are the days where we do that. So here I will just mark out 2 inches above. Yes, that's from the excess lace to indicate where the hairline will start, and then 1.5 inch from the bottom to indicate where the base of the frontal will be. Then the next thing to do is to draw the line. You have to be careful. Please make sure your marker is dry so that you don't pull it out and then it becomes dirty. So here I'm going to look for the middle, then I'll draw a line there. Assuming I wanted a part for my frontal, I will just draw this line down to the base, but then I don't want that, so I'll just draw it to indicate the middle of my frontal. Okay, then I'll go ahead to map out my hairline exactly the way I want it to be. Okay, this is a flex, guys. This is really fun because you get to decide exactly how you want your hairline to be. I'm so sorry guys, my camera stopped recording at a point without me knowing. So I'll just go ahead to explain what I did here. The down part is the base, the middle is the body, and the upper part is the hairline. So I'll just show you guys the measurements. So from the hairline, remember I drafted the hairline earlier. I just followed it with the marker, okay? So from the main hairline, that is the first line in front, I measured 1/2 inch in 3 places. Okay, that is why you're seeing 3 dots there before I drew the lines there. So from the 3rd line of the hairline, that is the last line of the hairline, down to the body, let's say just the body alone is about 3 inches. Okay, 3 inches from the hairline to the body, or the body itself is 3 inches. Then the base itself is 1.5 inch. I hope you get it. So the next thing is just to put it on the card. I had to pin it down, then cut the excess paper off like so. So I'm going to pin it on the back of my mannequin with pins. Make sure it's very secured like so. You can just pin it anywhere that will be convenient for you. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Let me show you the 3 most popular ways of ventilation. The first one is the single knot method. You just put in your pin in the nets like so, and then you drag the attachment, then you pull it out and you put everything in between, you pull it out. The good thing about this method of ventilation is that it is very fast, and then it doesn't have big knots at the end of the day. That is why I like it. But then the bad side about it is that it doesn't last as the other methods I'm going to show you. So they all have their good and bad sides. I wouldn't recommend this particular method when ventilating original human hair. Okay?
Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead.
The second method is known as the double knot method. You put your pin in the lace, you drag the attachments, then you pull one side of the attachments inward, but you don't pull it out. Then you bring out the other side of the attachment and pull it out. This time around, you drag it out and then you pull it like so. This method is the one I would recommend if you're ventilating a human hair because it lasts longer than the single knot. The knot still looks good, just like the single knots too, okay? And then it lasts more. But the downside is it is not as fast as the single method, but it is not bad. Once you get to know how to do it, you'll be fast in doing it. The third method is just like the single knot, but instead of pulling it once, you pull it twice. I call this the double knot method also, but this double method is different from the previous one I just showed you. As you can see, this also lasts longer than the single knot method. As you can see, of course it lasts longer, but then the downside to this is that the knot is not as fine as the single method or the other double method. So I particularly use this when I'm using a synthetic wig that is like, you know, those kind of synthetic wigs that are like rubber, that when you use a single method it just keeps losing on its own. So those kind of hairs particularly, I love using this particular double knot method for. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the single method. For the base here, I wasn't really counting the number or the strands of hair I was using or the number of holes I was keeping. I was just doing my thing. And at the same time, I made sure that the space in between was not too much. So basically, the base is like the end point of the frontal. So it's supposed to be full. And your parting is supposed to end at the beginning of your base, so it doesn't expose the lace. Like it's supposed to be the covering of the lace behind. So you really need to make sure that it is not scanty.
You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh.
So coming to the body now, this is where you need to be very intentional because the body is what really shows the beauty of the frontal before you get to the hairline. So you need to be very careful. You need to make it beautiful. You don't have to rush or put big strands here. So here I'm skipping like a hole. I'm not skipping rows, only a hole, and then I'm ventilating like 3 strands of hair. One very important rule of ventilation you need to know is the more strands you use, the fuller the hair will become, and then the bigger the strands will be. Okay, always remember that. And then the less strands of hair you use, the less likely it is to be more full, and the smaller the knots. You don't want to have a frontal that has big knots, okay? It won't come out so fine. So you need to know that the smaller the knots, of course it means more work for you, but then the finer it will come out.
You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly.
Always remember to brush while you ventilate. Brush as you go, brush in order to avoid tangling, okay? So I always like ventilating in a slanting or a diagonal way, so that when you come to ventilate the other ones, it just goes in smoothly instead of ventilating straight. When you ventilate straight, you find it hard to put them all together without having like a pattern between it. The body of your frontal is what shows the depth of your hair, okay? So if your hair is going to be full, you have to make it full from the body. If it's going to be scant, it's going to show from the body. If it's going to be full, it's going to show from the body. So the body of your frontal is very important. Right here, I just like the way it is. It's not too full. So I'm just going to repeat that for the first line of the hairline, as you can see here. Okay? So I didn't do anything extra for the first line. So for the second line now, that is where I'll start it properly. You just have to figure out what will work for you. So for the second line now, I'm going with just two strands of hair, as you can see, just 2 strands. And then I'm giving space. I'm leaving like 2 holes in between.
Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh.
So for the last line of the hairline, I'm going to be very, very intentional about this. I wanted it to be very scanty, but then I was very skeptical not to use 1 strand because the hair was just cutting when I was using 1 strand. So I decided to use 2 strands instead. But then I was leaving like 4 to 5 space in between. Okay, because I wanted the first part to look very natural. It all depends on the kind of hair you're using. Assuming I was using a human hair, I would have started using a strand, just one strand from the third hair line of the hairline to this first one here. But since I was using hair extension and then it was just cutting as I was ventilating, I decided to use 2 strands. The main aim of making this frontal is so that the hairline will look so natural that I won't need to pluck it during installation. So remember when I said I didn't want to put a pattern because I could really part it this way. You see, it's still coming out like I didn't need to put pattern. So guys, this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it is and how beautiful it is. Okay, just look at the details. Look at the neatness. Just look at it, guys. If your frontal is not this neat, then you're not doing it right. You did not do it right. Okay? Please, guys, do not forget to like, share, comment, and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Kisses.